up, y'all? How are y'all doing? I hope that y'all are having a great day or had a good day and all that type of stuff. um, so I just wanted to come on here and just like I guess give like a little bit of an overview of like my politics and stuff. Cause why not? Just like I just want to come on here talk about my opinions, my politics. And like part of what like kind of made me want to do this is because I feel like if I was a viewer, I would be like really confused about like what my what my politics are. Like if you watch like my previous videos, right? Like I don't know, like because there's some stuff I was talking about some like don't judge the Latinos or like the people of color that voted for Donald Trump and stuff, and talking about how like LBJ was talking about some he was gonna have black people voting for Democrats for the next 200 years, all that type of stuff, right? But then I'm also making videos talking about some Donald Trump better not deport all the undocumented people essentially. And then I say undocumented instead of illegal. So it's like one of those things where it's like if I was a viewer I would be kind of confused. And so I was like I might as well just make a video about this. And I feel like it would be fun. So why not? um, and so yeah, I mean I guess to start off I guess we could talk about Donald Trump and like my views on him. Um, when he first like got elected in 2016 and that kind of time period. Um, well, in that time period, like I was pretty young, yo. Like I was still in middle school, and so I don't know. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that like it was kind of like I don't know, like I would just kind of like go with what like other people have been kind of saying and stuff. Like I didn't really go too deep into it or like think too critically about things necessarily. But I did know that like some stuff just didn't feel right about what he was saying and stuff. So I was like, nah, like this man, he's out here talking about some, he's trying to deport everybody. He's talking about some like all the Mexicans, that, like all the undocumented people, a lot of them being Mexicans, how they're like criminals and how they're like rapists and all that type of stuff. And I say Mexicans too, because he was talking about like calling like undocumented Mexican men like bad hombres. So obviously he meant to say that for like a reason. Like it wasn't even just like the undocumented people regardless of like your race or whatever the case may be. Like he knows that like the majority of undocumented people happen to be Latino and a lot of them being Mexican and stuff. So I was like, nah, I don't like that. Like I don't like that at all. Like he's saying everybody's like a rapist and a criminal and stuff like that. And I just didn't like that. Like it was like really weird to me because it just like I've said before, like I know people that I'm close to that like they're in that situation, but it's not because of their preference. Like if they could get their papers, they would do it in a heartbeat. If they could get that green card, that visa, whatever the case may be. But nah, if people really understand, for a lot of undocumented people, especially Mexicans, it be taking decades, like decades, yo, to try to get permanent residency, which is like getting a green card. And then after it takes decades just to get a green card, then you gotta wait 5 more years to get citizenship. But like have permanent resident means that you're here legally, so that's usually what people care about. But to get citizenship, that's when you're able to vote because you can't vote, even if you're here legally. So I feel like a lot of people don't really know like the nuances of this. But yeah, that's kind of like what it be like. And like for example, a lot of them happen to be Mexican. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot in terms of like history and all that type of stuff that you can go into. But I would just say like off the bat, like like on the superficial kind of level, kind of like currently, if y'all go on Google right now and you search up the Visa Bulletin Board for December of 2024, so that's this month. If you go and look at the years like on the table for Mexico, those years like they could go even like as far as like 2000. And I'm gonna try to explain what that means. So like for example, like I know before coming on here and making this video, I searched that up. And for the F3 visa, which I believe it was like, if you, the F3 visa are for those that are sons and daughters of U.S. citizens. and there's like a certain cap to how many like green cards are available or how many visas for that kind is available. And for that F3 visa, for somebody that comes from Mexico and applied for that visa, like right now in December 2024, they're just now looking at those that applied for that visa in the year of 2000. It's 2024, yo. They applied in the year 2000. That's a 24-year wait time to have a judge look at your application and be like, oh, green cards are available now. And again, they're available and the judge still has to look at your case. So they could still be like, oh, nah, because you don't meet certain like, and certain like, I guess like, I don't know, requirements or whatever. And again, like those things are like super arbitrary and stuff. Like I mentioned that in like one of my videos previously. Like they're super arbitrary. It's like, oh, are you 21 or are you not 21? And you know, just like random stuff like that. Like I know like that's why a lot of people like they age out of those kinds of processes. So maybe like they had like they applied for like family sponsorship before the age of 21, so they were considered like a minor or something like that. But then when they like turn 21, then they don't count into that process because they don't meet that requirement of being before the age of 21. But if you're waiting 24 years, like, you know what I'm saying? You know, it just be like dumb stuff like that. So we really have to have some kind of immigration reform instead of just criminalizing like immigrants. And there's so much stuff I could say about this like particular topic. So like for me, it just like frustrates me and gets me mad, especially because yes, sometimes the left is like right about some stuff, and there is a lot of ignorance regarding these kinds of topics. There is a lot of ignorance, and so that it's really easy because I always be hearing people like, oh, why not just become legal? Why not just become legal? It's really not that easy. And it, again, like some of these visas are really specific. Like you have to have like a family member, and if you don't have a family member, then you can't get in the line. And then if you can't get in the line, you gotta wait 24 years, for example. So it's really like crazy. And then that doesn't even count like for like the thousands of fees that you gotta pay to the lawyers. And when you're an undocumented immigrant, a Mexican undocumented immigrant here in the United States, I mean, I feel like a lot of people do know like there are a lot of Mexican undocumented people, you know, they work in like lower level kind of like lower skilled jobs because they can't like obtain jobs elsewhere. So like construction, you know, stuff like that. And those kinds of jobs, I mean, they're good like for what they are, and I appreciate like the United States for giving my people like those kinds of jobs. But to have that kind of income, pay your bills, take care of your family, all that type of stuff, and then having to pay like those thousands of legal fees, like tens of thousands, like it be so much, yo. Like I know people be like out here complaining, they be middle class, you know, have better jobs, easier jobs too, and they still be complaining here in the United States and stuff. And imagine adding on a few $1,000s for you know this type of stuff. And then I'm not even, like I haven't even touched on like, you know, the fraud, because lawyers be taking advantage of like, you know, people. It's just so much, yo. And there's so much, like I said, there's so much I could talk about this. So like when I hear people like Donald Trump talk about this, when you think about what that does to the people, even if yes there are some, you can call them like bad hombres or whatever. Yes, there are some criminals that happen to be undocumented people. But when you just keep saying that same rhetoric over and over again, people really start getting scared, and you really start like inciting fear. And then people don't think rationally; they just think with fear. And then they think that, you know, they rather be safe than sorry, so they're like, oh, you know, deport all the immigrants, all the Mexicans too, like, you know, all that type of stuff. Like, you don't even care if they have papers or not. You just get them out as soon as possible because you're thinking out of fear instead of being rational. You know, just stuff like that. Like, it just creates a whole, like, mess. And so, like, I just don't like that type of stuff, especially when you have that much influence on people. And they're not, I feel like the majority of the time, they're not going to fact check, they're not going to check and all that type of stuff. I mean, a lot of them don't even know that, like, undocumented people pay taxes, and they get mad, you know? Can't even get, like, welfare benefits for the majority of undocumented people. It's not until recently that we've heard, like, undocumented immigrants getting these kinds of benefits. But then people go on, like, what seems mainstream and what seems not fair, because again, just inciting that fear and like those feelings of like anger and all that type of stuff. So it just became me mad. Okay. It's just a lot. So that's why it's like in 2016 I was mad, and I feel like I still don't like the way that Donald Trump be talking, because it just like it really does like paint like a bad image, and it does like give people the power, even if they're not like racist. They might start to be racist. Yo, you might be like promoting that kind of behavior, and they don't even realize that they're racist at that point, because they're just thinking, oh, I just want the criminals out. Nah, yo, you're racist at that point, because you think that all of them are out here being criminals. You know, all the Mexicans or whatever, or all the Latinos. You know, at that point you're racist. Like, goodness. So that's some of the type of stuff that I'm thinking about. So when it was 2016, and I still believe it. But then I started like, you know, I don't know, I just started growing up, I guess. And I did have like a little bit of a, I don't know, I just started like not really being completely like compatible with like the ideas of like the left. And I feel like I don't even know if it's political necessarily. It's more like cultural. Like I feel like culturally, like there wouldn't be like a lot of people that I would really like admire or could really like look up to like in a respectable way. Both like men or women, like, you know, strong men and like, you know, just respectful women, you know, stuff like that. Like it would always be like, I don't know, it would just be like stuff that it just wasn't like cool. I wasn't cool with. And it would be more like on the, you know, there was just a lot of hypersexuality that I just was like, you know, it just wasn't, like I was trying to like get away from that. Like it was just something like that I knew was destructive, and it just wasn't good and stuff. And I feel like there's some kind of like a cultural thing going on with the left, or maybe just in general, but like I feel like I started a lot with the left. I mean, think about like even the DNC right now, or like recently, where like Megan Thee Stallion, I believe is her name, was twerking at the DNC, and that's supposed to be a professional thing, so that would normally be inappropriate in a professional setting. But I guess because it's politics, I don't know. So like I just want to see a lot of like I guess women or like people I could look up to that were like respectful, and that shared like, you know, the same like pro-immigrant kind of ideas and all that type of stuff. And so yeah, and then once I started coming back into like the Catholic faith, I'm back into like, you know, believing in God, because at some point I was atheist. It was a hot mess. There was a lot going on. But yeah, basically like it just, I was looking for something else. Right? And then I started being more like open-minded and being like, oh, well, I thought I was super right about like a lot of these things, like, you know, being hardcore like on the left and stuff, but now I'm seeing some flaws. So what else could there be like flaws about, you know? So then I started being more open to like even conservative spaces, and like just hearing out what people say, even if I like disagree with some of the stuff that they said, because yeah, I was like, just like hear them out. Like I don't have to like agree with them, but just hear them out. And actually be like, give them a chance, you know? I mean, I just hesitate because I'm just like, I guess it depends too. And I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to start like sidetrack and stuff, but I know like politics, I feel like a lot of the reason why people don't really want to give the other side a chance is because they're like, oh, they just go against my values fundamentally and stuff. Which I totally get that, but still try to give the other side a chance, like from every perspective, and try to be as open as you can without like crossing certain lines. But you have to just have like, I guess, the wisdom to kind of understand what you can give, the things that you can give like a chance to, and the things that you shouldn't. So discernment, just pray for discernment. And so yeah, but anyways, but try to be as open as you possibly can still, to listening, again, not to agreeing necessarily, but to listening and being open and stuff. But yeah, so I started doing that and stuff, and I mean, I started learning more, and then I think I found, I think Candace Owens was one of the first, like, and I was like, wow, like, you know, Candace Owens, like, I love this lady, like, you know, she's like, she's talking about how, like, you know, people shouldn't be hooking up with each other and all this type of stuff. And I was like, yeah, this is literally the type of stuff that I've been like yearning for. And so it was like pretty tough to see. And then Lila Rose, and I started listening to Lila Rose and stuff. And like I feel like I still like don't 100% agree. Like I can't really think about one thing that I don't agree with Lila Rose actually right now on. But I know for sure with like Candace Owens, like there's like the immigration stuff. Like that's some stuff that I definitely like. Someone said that she'd be saying like I be disagreeing with her and stuff. So there's that. But generally, like these are like the types of role models that I be looking up to, or like Hannah from Ballerina Farm. Like I feel like I'm so like I ended up kind of like getting pretty red pilled, I guess you could say. But at the same time, not fully, because again, I'm still pretty pro immigrant. So, and I feel like that you can't just take that away from me, to be honest. And then yeah, and so something that I just like couldn't budge onto, or that I started learning more about. Yeah, so let me say that first actually. What I started learning more about, like the whole pro-life like movement and stuff like that versus pro-choice movement. I didn't really have like an understanding about it, but then I started like researching more about it and what it means. Because I think the thing that got me personally was like, when does life begin? And so then I started researching and all that type of stuff. It's at conception, y'all, and biologists agree with that statement too. And then I started being like, okay, well, yeah, so like if it's a person, like if it has like we shouldn't be killing people, period. Like I don't even know why that should even be like controversial. Like it's actually really sad. But yeah, I only laugh because it's sad. I don't know. But wow. We're in such dark places sometimes. But anyways, and so when I started learning more about that, and then even for things like, rape and, all that type of stuff, I started learning more about it, and I feel like being like really like, I feel like it just comes down to having faith in God and everything, and I feel like God could really get you through anything. And I feel like us as His people, we should be there for each other as like our brothers and sisters in Christ, and so we should be there, especially for the people that are like, dealing with really like tough situations like that. But the answer will never be like a wrong just can't fix another wrong, and abortion will never undo rape and stuff like that, and then for medically necessary stuff, like from what I know, it's really not medically necessary. There's C-sections, and ectopic pregnancy, like we just have to make sure that we are trying to save as many lives as possible in those kinds of cases too. Like it can't just, but like to just intentionally kill a life, nah, yo, get out my face. Get out my face. So I feel like there's that type of stuff. So we really have to be like careful in terms of like dealing with these kinds of really like tough things, and not just go with the mainstream or what's popular and stuff. Like forget the popular stuff, yo. What's wrong is wrong and what's right is right at the end of the day. And killing a human being, no matter like their stage of development, their location, their skin color, their immigration status, we gotta care for people at the end of the day, yo. That's literally the point, and that's why I be coming at things and stuff. And so yeah, that's why like for the Democrats and stuff, I started being like, I'm like, that's not cool, yo, because they keep doing crazy stuff. Like Kamala Harris was out here, like in support of abortions up to 9 months. And one thing that I heard is that like she didn't even want to support this bill that would help babies that are born after a failed like abortion attempt. Like what? I mean, it's already bad enough that they were like about to get assassinated in the womb, and then like to be like, oh, denying them the care. Oh my goodness, it's just so much stuff, yo. Like it's a baby, yo. It's literally a baby, like one of the most defenseless creatures that we should really be out here taking care of. Like I feel like, I don't know, yo. So I just be mad, yo. I just be mad. Like I feel like we just gotta do better and stand up for what's right and what's just, and stop like being so cowardly and being like, oh, it's just the popular stuff. Going with the popular ideas, like, everybody's pro-choice, so let's be pro-choice. Like, nah, get on my face, yo. Get on my face. Let's just do better. And so, yeah. So, and I don't like that. So I don't like that with Kamala Harris, what she was doing, and then, like, having, like, abortions available at the DNC, too. Like, abortions and Megan Thee Stallion twerking at the DNC. Nah, yo. Like, I can't. I literally can't. none of that stuff. But like I said, with the Republicans and stuff, and even with the Republicans, they not even fully like pro-life. So I'd be like irritated with that too, because Donald Trump talk about a baby's life is only like it's determined by the state that they live in, and that's not cool. That's not cool either. So right now I got beef with him too. Nah, it's actually really sad though. Not gonna lie, it's actually really sad. So yeah, I mean that's kind of like the gist. I mean, there's probably more that I could talk about, but that's really what it is. I can't be on the left because I'm too pro-life and because a lot of other stuff too, and I'm too like pro-immigrant. Because yeah, I mean I'm Mexican too, and I understand a lot of the stuff too. So it's like I just can't be here for the rhetoric and stuff. And I will say, like, it really does empower, like, people. Even if, like, Donald Trump is trying to be, like, oh, the criminals is what I'm talking about. Nah, like, the way that he paints, like, a really broad brush, it really be messing with people and giving, like, racist and people that thought that they couldn't be racist the power to be racist. And then they're, like, not even, like, accepting that they're racist because they're like, oh, it's just, like, I'm trying to be against the criminals. Like, I personally have been, like, discriminated against and all that type of stuff. And my dad, too, like, yo, I remember one time we were, like, my dad was at a stoplight, right? And then he just started like going because like it turned green. And then the cop stopped him. He couldn't have been speeding because he literally just got off of the like red light and then it turned like green. And my dad is very Mexican. Like he has like he's built like his seriousness is like Emiliano Zapata. That's kind of like the vibe that he gives. And then I've only seen him wear like sneakers one time because he's always wearing his like vaquero boots, his cowboy boots. And he's so Mexican, yo, his mustache and everything. So like, you know that he's Mexican. And like I remember like, cause I was in the backseat and like, I feel like the police officer, he didn't even really have a good reason to stop him. So I'm like, yo, what's going on? And then I mean, similar stuff, like, you know, I don't know, people just are crazy out here, you know. So we really gotta be careful because it really be like serious stuff. Like it's not like back in the day when it was like no dogs, no Mexicans, no black people and stuff, and restaurants and stuff. But we still gotta be careful because we don't want to like bring that back by accident, even just a little bit. Like I don't want my dad getting stopped just for being a Mexican. Like get on my face, you know. And the deportations and all that type of stuff. Like we gotta like give people their due process so we're not back in the depression when they were deporting Mexicans. And the detention centers, currently right now in the detention centers, I've been hearing a bunch of stuff, yo, that I really don't like and I'm not cool with. Like I've heard like, you know, how the officers be taking advantage of little girls and stuff because they're in such vulnerable positions. Like sexually and all that type of stuff. Like that's not cool. And there's just so many other things, yo, like we gotta like chill out and like treat people humanely. Like we shouldn't just be bringing them all in detention centers. They're not criminals in the term, like in the dangerous kind of term. Like yes, obviously like it's a criminal thing to be here illegally, but not in terms of like killing other people and all that type of crazy stuff. I actually read an article like a while ago about a kid in Alabama that got deported because he had some weed. He was a 15-year-old kid. I know a bunch of white kids here at Cornell that be smoking weed and stuff, but they don't be having that kind of level of consequences that they got to deal with. So we just really got to think about stuff like this before we do some of this stuff. And then, like I said, the babies and stuff, like, you know, I'm too pro-life. Gotta take care of the women that are dealing with these types of things and stuff. And be like, have a culture of life and not death. So, yeah. I don't know, I just went on more rants when I was supposed to close out the video. My bad, yo. I be talking. I be yapping. But that's really, like, some of the stuff that I be feeling. Like, you know, I feel like I'm so interested in politics and culture and all that type of stuff, mainly because I know it's not just about politics and culture. I know it's about good and evil. And God put me on this earth for a reason. Like, I know that, like, He put me on this earth to use any, like, academic, professional, all my skills to try to be the best version that I can be to serve the people, because the people are my brothers and sisters in Christ at the end of the day. And that's the reason I wanted to be making these videos too, because I want people to be better. And if I could do this by just talking, why not? But I feel like we all have like responsibility to be doing that. And we gotta be careful with this type of stuff, yo. We gotta be careful. Like, guide people, if they're wrong, guide people with grace. And if they're right, and you're wrong, try to be as open as you can be, yo. And if they're wrong and they're being stubborn, bring your opinion to them as graceful as possible. At least plant a seed, even if they're being stubborn and stuff like that. So that's kind of like the way that I view, I guess, my role right now in terms of like this YouTube stuff and in general. And then with politics and stuff. And that's why I can't be on the left and I can't be on the right, because they both be trifling, because we are sinful people at the end of the day. But that doesn't excuse anything, because we are called to be sinless. So it's not an excuse either. It doesn't stop at, oh, people are sinful. It's people were meant to be sinless. So we gotta keep actively trying and helping other people be sinless, and it'll be a better world. But yeah, it's kind of like non-ending though, because people have free will and they be trifling and all that stuff. Anyways, that's like a whole thing. But yeah, this is just a little bit. Hopefully this clarifies for anybody. And yeah. Anyways, hopefully y'all are out there trying to spread the good too, and trying to seek truth. The truth, the good, and choose good over evil, God over Satan, etc. But yeah. Alright, that's it, y'all. Let me stop yapping. Alright, see ya.